close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. See the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them. To see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. See the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette.
Alright everybody, here we are, and it's been quite crazy. I had the subscription of Perplexity, and right now I don't have that. They are asking for the credentials and all, like how, I mean, I have to authenticate and I have to provide a payment method. I do not have the credit card and all, so can't really do anything. Now the next option is to go with the ChatGPT right now, but they are asking for UPI. I was using Airtel UPI, but that didn't work, so I will have to use any PhonePe UPI and all. So I will be getting that done. So from today onwards, of course, I will be using ChatGPT. I don't really have any another way. I don't know why they are even doing. So they should be giving an UPI option over there. But okay, they don't want the customers. Ouch. So never mind. Let's continue. By the way, I was learning about Fast API. And just wanted to learn that for a while too. But there's this thing, Fast API. Either I just keep going through the documentation and keep learning, or I can go through any course. Which option is better? If I go through the course, I will actually create proper things and all. I think this is mainly needed because I'm doing right now mainly I'm doing a Gen AI course with Python. So when I'm actually making a call and all to the LLMs, large language models. So at the end of the day, I will have to create a server, so that using those servers only, I can just talk to the database. And, I can talk to those LLMs, and I can just send the response to the client side and all. So ultimately, yeah, I do need to know how to create a backend server using Fast API. Having said that, this is not difficult. Overall, things are exactly the same. But right now, I have two ways over here. So far, I've learned about path parameter, query parameter, request body, query parameters validations. Okay, from here on I have to just start learning more. So I have two options. Either I can go with with this documentation, but I think it will take lots of time. I mean, going through all these things, even this middleware related stuff. So there are things, but the thing, don't know. I've gone through this much. So query parameters and string validations. What is here? And it turns out that that's really a lot. I mean, going through the documentation will take a lot of time, and it's kind of worth doing that, but I think I should just learn it quickly from somewhere in a fast forward manner, rather than just simply going through the whole documentation, because I don't need to learn everything from scratch. I already know how to build a backend using Express and also Fast API. Fast API crash course 24 that's too much. I need a proper not crash course actually. I need a proper course on that. COURC course. He's providing this, so let's have a look at this. So Fast API new playlist. When was this uploaded? I'm not even sure about this, but if I actually have a look at this course launch, then they uploaded all these things 4 months ago. Please create a course on AWS as well. Also, please cover all the concept of database migration relationship to. Okay, how about Udemy? Let's try and have a look at the courses even available here. Like, I wanted to complete it fast. Don't really have time for this. I mean, a lot of time for this, but let's see. Fast API, the complete crash course. The duration is 21 hours. Oh my god, really? I mean, there are courses, but if you actually have a look at the duration, the price is around $399, so that's fine. 12 hours. That is REST API using Flask and Python. And I've been Docker Fast API Nginx. Mainly I wanted to learn about Fast API because I'm learning Gen AI with Python. So of course at the end of the day I will have to create a server using Fast API. This is the only one. I will take around a week, 3 to 6, not even a week, maybe 2 weeks. to go through it. 2 weeks in the sense 14, 14 multiplied by 3, 4, 3, 12, 28, yeah, 42 around. So 42 hours I will have for these 21 hours. What all is covered here? Okay, introduction, Python installation, refresher, fast API overview, project, fast API request methodology, move fast with fast API, setup database, API request, authentication and authorization, authentication request, large production and database setup, Alembic data migration, unit and integration testing, full stack application, version control, fast API, blah blah blah. Okay, I'm mainly gonna be learning about fast API properly. Like overall idea I got even from the documentation. So far I'm able to get the parameter. I'm ultimately able to create a server. After creating the server, I'm able to just get the request, and I'm able to get the path parameters, query parameters, request body. I'm able to get all these things. And the next thing can actually be that you should be able to create middlewares and all, and you should be able to just create the database, connect to the database and all. And for all those things, I got to learn more, that is right. But overall things I've got exactly how it works. So maybe someday in future, right now I just have the idea exactly how the things work and all. So I will be just skipping this thing for now, because having the overall idea, even I run the server, so I even had the notes, just not only that. So if I go to this GenAI section, so fast API, over here these are the things that I've actually learned in this fast API section. And as for creating a proper server, I may need to do that. But not only that, right now what I'm working with two most important things, maybe three things. First one is gonna be the passport. Mainly I'm working with the authentication system. So let me open this. Not a problem, I mean things can be done. Things gonna be hard, that is right. But okay, I mean I have to do it anyhow. So first of all is this particular section, this next auth related thing. So this is something that I'm working with, and again if I'm working with this next auth related stuff, and over there true feedback is the name is the true feedback. I have to remake that too, and 2 hours of course is remaining around. Okay, the second thing that I'm working with, that is again this fast API. This is the secondary thing, so let's skip it for now. There is something called beta auth. Can I just, yeah. Over here the app name is gonna be kind of what is that app all about? Over there I have dashboard, just a normal project. Beta auth, just this is a normal project, and once I have that normal project I will have to make that as well. So ultimately making that I will learn about the beta auth, making this I will learn about this, and lastly last but not the least, there is something called passport, and that is under self project. So even right now I'm not even focusing on that. In this particular section I'm just mainly focusing on passport. Again it is not hard, but I will have to build a project. So I have to build a chat app. Again I have to make that. I don't have to remake it. So this is how things are gonna be going on. Just a sec. So this is the overall idea, and as for this particular thing, it's gonna be hard to focus on many things at the same time, because there are really not easy topics right now. Next auth, better auth is fine, next auth is okay. Passport is okay too. So it's not like they're the most difficult ones, but they are time taking. As for this fast API, I've learned almost the basic things, so I will be simply skipping this thing for now, because having basic knowledge is enough for me. As far as having command is concerned, I will take care of it later on, not now. That's it. I mean this is how I will be going ahead. And in case if somebody uses actually fast API in the AI integration, at that time I can learn that on the go, so that's not really a big problem. By the way, it's time to continue with this passport related stuff. Yesterday I just skipped the video, and that video was all about the video that I was actually watching of Angela ma'am. So there are some good courses, but the time is not right, as simple as that. I think this today is gonna be the last day for learning even that. So I learned about hide your secrets and all. I don't have to worry about it. Lastly, I have to worry about this sign in with Google, exactly how it works, and mainly when it comes to sign in with Google, so you have to just provide ID and password and it will be done. So that is also fine, and then finish the app, let you just submit and secrets. So I'm gonna be focusing on these two things at 31:16. So let's complete this passport thing today, so that from tomorrow onwards I can actually start working on the chat application that we have to work on. So this is gonna be the overall plan, and in the chat application we are gonna be focusing on many things. So mainly when it comes to this chat application, okay, gonna be fun. This is something that needs to be done anyhow. So first of all, WebSocket is going to be used over there. Second, I can use Next.js as a backend, and if I'm using this Prisma, it's hard to integrate Prisma with the Turbo repo. I've tried this thing, so integrating it with Turbo repo is gonna be crazy. So what do I do? Then there will be two options, like WebSocket is gonna be there, and Next.js is going to be there. Not only that, I need even an HTTP server, so WebSocket server is going to be there, right? Kind of WS server is gonna be there, and not only WS server, I need to have my HTTP server as well. The only problem is that I cannot use Turbo repo here. Turbo repo, mainly because Turbo repo does not support Prisma. I mean, it does support Prisma, but when I export the client, can do that actually. For now, I will be using Turbo repo here, and what I'll be doing, I'll actually build it in the JS. Yeah, that's fine. I will be using Turbo repo here as well. Using Turbo repo, things are gonna be organized. So Turbo repo is going to be used there, and the only change would be that I will be actually building the client in the JS format, and then I will be exporting the client from here. So Turbo repo is gonna be here. I will be creating two servers, WS servers and HTTP servers. Would be great, and they are gonna be handling their own things. Next, I will be using Next.js as just a front-end library, and apart from that particular thing, I have to use Shahed CN and Tailwind CSS over here, and this thing is done. What else? When I'm actually using this, and I need to make requests, I will be using something called React Hook Forms. Okay, so this thing is also done, and when I'm using React Hook Forms, that simply means that I'm getting that form, and using that form I can actually make a request to the backend. Yeah, that is right. And when I'm actually making request to the backend, it's better to use a library as well, state management library. So React Hook Forms are gonna be there for managing the things related to the form. And then what I'm doing in the current project, I'm directly talking to the database. Or what in the current project that I'm doing over here, I'm using React Hook Forms. There is a backend over there, but I'm directly talking to the backend from here. And what I want in this case, that first of all, React Hook Forms are gonna be there, mainly because I'm using beta auth over there. That's fine. So, and over here passport is going to be used. So in this case, I will be using my 10 stack React query as well. 10 stack React query, and not only that, I will be using ZooStand, ZooStand as a state management library. I just want to use it once, and then after that, this time onwards, I will be switching to the what I will be switching to Redux, but for now I would like to go with Zeus 10 because recently I completed this. So yeah, overall things are clear. So ultimately I will be even using server actions. Server actions are gonna be used for what? Server actions will mainly be used for talking to the database, but even from my servers I will not talk to the database directly, rather I will talk to my backend. So server actions are going to be used for that. Server actions, if I can directly make a request to my database, that is also right. So that's gonna be kind of a function. So server actions are actually functions. So the simple thing is that, can we use server actions for talking to the backend? I think this can be done. Is it okay if I use server actions for talking to the backend? Yes, it is acceptable, often beneficial to use server actions for interacting with your backend, especially for mutations, creating, updating, and deleting data within malicious application, or for data fetching. The standard feature in server components or API routes are generally recommended for those options. Are server actions / API routes necessary when you have separate backend API? In the context of server components, you can call your separate backend directly. Help no. In the context of server components, you can call your separate backend directly before the component is needed. For the client components, why should you use server actions or route handlers to get with data when you can call your backend API directly from the client component? Doing this seems like it would cause an extra round trip browser Next.js server API backend API versus browser backend API. Appreciate any clarification, thanks. It mostly depends on your setup and individual use cases. Sometimes we need to interface with APIs to have private keys. You wouldn't want those lead on the client, so having it with a server action or an API would keep things safe. On other times we want to revalidate the next cache after, say, update a user's account, or maybe an endpoint returns too much data and you'd like to change or simplify the results to keep things lighter on the client. There are many possible use cases. There are just some simple examples to get you think. If you already got a nice secure API and making use of next cache, then probably you won't find many reasons to use them. Okay, so it is a good thing to just use that. Usually I prefer to call external API directly because it has the least overhead and it's often easier to create, perform, and separate backend. However, if server functions become a generic solution, basically build a PC using them, rewrite data could offer the really nice parallel execution and the methods gets weird. There's no technical limitations. It depends on your app. It might be necessary, it might not be. If your situation where really looks like you are just using server actions as unnecessary proxy, then don't use them. You might find mixing both client and server calls over complicates things, in which case settle on the best setup for your application. Maybe you call 5x backend API, some private, some public, and you want to consolidate everything behind next. It all depends on your application's requirements. I use server actions for login and log out, but everything else is handled through the graph API running separately to my next step. Remind me one day. You can't get SSR from APIs, right? But server actions and components you can. You are not only get the data but also rendered UI as well. Alrighty, by the way, I will be using server action this time. I mean, I will be just making a call to the backend from the server actions, as simple as that. Though I can directly talk to my database as well, but this time I'm gonna be going with the server actions, mainly because I have to. Server actions are gonna be used for many things, even for getting the data directly. So I will have server actions, then I will have hooks. So not only hooks, I will have state. in the state I will be saving all the values. This state will be just transferring those values to all the fields, and I will create hooks. So I will have hooks, and hooks will be using 10 stack queries. So 10 stack queries, get query plus hooks. So I will hooks will use them, and then hooks will be using both the things at the same time. That means hooks will be using what actions. They will be using actions plus state, and on the basis of that those things they will be changing the things. Not only that, we can even revalidate the data, but data can be revalidated only on this side, not on that side. Okay, actions are okay, fine. We even need to use WebSocket in order to, whenever we send chats, at that time WebSocket should be used. So I need to create a WebSocket server, and from the server action side I need to send a request to the the WebSocket server, and from there I will be getting the response and all, and this is how it will be done. So this is how overall things are gonna be. Again, there are gonna be two things, state. Ultimately I will be using HTTP and WS server both. So this is the overall plan for now for that particular chat application. As for the UI AI is help simple plus quick CN plus shared CN. I mean, these things are gonna be used, plus Tailwind, you can say, like you will be using Tailwind. So overall plan is this. Having said that, it will take time. It's not gonna be easy because I'm ultimately integrating all the technologies that I've learned so far. That's great. I'll have to plan all these things really well and then execute them. But yeah, this is gonna be great. The second thing is that not only that, HTTP, all these things are done in my backend, that means in the HTTP server side. And one more thing, how will I authenticate the user on the WebSocket server side when I send a request? So on the WebSocket server side, I need to send something so that the user can be authenticated. That means I need to send the token. Token needs to be sent. But if I'm working with Postgres, I will not get the token. That simply means if I want to use Postgres, first of all I will use Postgres as Passport, not Postgres, Passport. So if I'm using Passport, I will have to use a store. If using that store, I will be able to authenticate the user, and then credentials are gonna be sent. Cookies mainly, cookie ID. Cookie will be sent from the client side, and on the basis of that thing, I will be able to authenticate using that particular store. And when it comes to using the store, interesting. So this is the overall plan right now. Passport, and I'm gonna be using the store. And what next? What happens when I get a request on the HTTP server? I initialize Passport, right? The same thing I need to do on the WebSocket server side. So let's even talk to AI about this and clear the things. One more thing. I'm gonna be creating a chat application. Now I have two options. Either I keep the WebSocket server and HTTP server separate, or I just mix them together. What is the good way? Okay, suppose I'm separating them. In that case, I'm using even a passport. That means I will store the sessions not in memory, rather in a store. So at that time, how will I can easily authenticate the user on the express session side, because I'm initializing the passport as well as the session over here. How will I authenticate the user on the WebSocket server side? I mean, do I actually need to use passport session again on the WebSocket server side too? Token in the sense, like look, I'm already using a passport, so passport simply creates a session and simply saves a cookie on the client side, right, directly. And just a minute, hang on for a sec. Why am I not able to hear anything? Okay, now it's going to be audible. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Let me know how you'd like to proceed.
Okay, so the thing is here that on the WebSocket side I'm talking about, the server that I'm gonna be creating. Over there, because I'm using passport, so I'm not really generating any token, because passport does all these things on its own. So how will I be authenticating the user on the WebSocket server side?
You can authenticate by sharing the session cookie from the client to the WebSocket server. The WebSocket server then checks the session using the same session store as the Express server. That way, you keep the authentication consistent.
That simply means that on the WebSocket server side, I will have to install passport, and I will have to even initialize the passport and then create the session configuration and all these things.
Exactly. You'll need to set up passport on the WebSocket server side as well. Initialize sessions and make sure it points to the same session store, so everything stays consistent.
That means even on the WebSocket server side, do I need to serialize and deserialize the data?
Yes, exactly. You'll need to serialize and deserialize the user data on the WebSocket side, just like in the HTTP server, so the user session is recognized properly.
But even if I'm deserializing and serializing the data, but at the end of the day, user sign up will not happen on the WebSocket server side. So it will mainly be used for deserializing, right? I mean, serialization will not even be used on the WebSocket server side. Only deserialization will be used.
That's correct. On the WebSocket side, you typically only need to deserialize, not serialize, because the user's already logged in through the main server. That way, you just validate their session.
So do I need to mention both serialize as well as deserialize, or just one?
You typically only need to mention the deserialize function on the WebSocket side. The serialization mostly happens on the main server.
Okay, so as soon as I deserialize, I will get but there is a problem, and the problem is that on the WebSocket server side, I don't have request, and that simply means that how will I get the request.user?
Good point. You can access the session from the WebSocket handshake. Usually you pass the session details during the upgrade process, so you can attach the user data to the socket.
You can access the session from the WebSocket handshake. Usually you pass the session details during the upgrade process, so you can attach the user data to the socket. What does this mean?
It means that during the WebSocket connection handshake, you can access the session cookie or token, and then manually attach the user information to the socket instance, so you don't need the request object.
So if I'm attaching cookie, so cookie was created by passport, that is just the ID. That means on the basis of that cookie ID, the session will be found, and then the session is going to be deserialized. So where will I get the user, and where will this be populated inside the WebSocket server?
Great question. Once the session is found using that cookie, the user will be attached during the WebSocket handshake. You typically populate it in the WebSocket middleware before the connection is fully established.
Even if I'm not getting one thing. On HTTP server, it's easy, right? As soon as the user, deserializes, it is available in the request.user. It's populated and available in the request.user. And even there is something called request.isAuthenticated, so we can check whether the user is authenticated or not. But on the WebSocket server side, it's nothing like that. Don't you think so?
Exactly. On the WebSocket side, you won't have rec.user or rec is authenticated by default. So you need to manually attach the user to the socket after deserialization, typically during the connection handshake.
What does this mean? I mean, I need to manually attach the user to the socket after deserialization inside the WebSocket server.
It means that once the session is deserialized, you take the user object and assign it directly to the WebSocket connection. So the socket has access to the user information throughout the connection.
So this deserialization will happen inside the WebSocket server, right?
Exactly. The deserialization will happen during the WebSocket handshake, and then you attach the user to the socket for ongoing use.
How can I attach user to the WebSocket?
You can attach the user by adding a property to the socket object, like socket.user equals user. That way the user data is available throughout the connection.
Okay. One more thing, and that is how will I get the user to attach? Like you are saying that the deserialization will happen. That's fine. It actually happens automatically, right? As soon as the request comes to the particular server. So how will I get the user object then?
Great question. During the WebSocket handshake, you can access the session from the cookie, find the user in the session store, and then attach it to the socket manually. That way, the user object will be available.
How can I find the user in the session store?
You can find the user by accessing the session data using the session ID from the cookie. Then you retrieve the user from the session store and attach it to the socket.
Give me an example, like where it's actually happening.
Sure. For example, during the WebSocket connection handshake, you can access the cookie from Sappheiros, retrieve the session from the session store, and then attach the user to the socket, like socket.user equals user. This way, the user is available during the WebSocket session.
Give me an example where on the WebSocket server side I'm actually getting my cookie, and on the basis of that I'm finding the session, and after that I'm actually getting the user information from the session and attaching it to the socket. Socket data with the express session shares. Socket.io express session shares the session from cookies during the handshake, allowing direct access to the session data handling in the express socket.io.session. We will simplify this by automatically passing the cookie and attaching the session to the socket handshake session. Once available, attach the user information socket for easy access for events. Install express socket IO express session, cookie pass express session, server configuration. So I will have HTTP server, and then express HTTP session is gonna be equal to required express session. Shared session is gonna be express session in this. Then server is gonna be HTTP server create app input. Session.user is gonna be here. Session is gonna be session secret receive and all. So I got my session. Once I got my session, so app.use is gonna be equals to that particular session. So it's gonna be using that particular session, that is right. And once it is actually that particular session, then app.use the shared session is gonna be equals to what? Shared session io.use will be using that particular session, we will be using that. I will say is gonna be true. That's right. Connection session handshake session. I will be getting my session. I can use that session over there. It's fine. Session is gonna be equals to user. It will be available over here. So there is something called this express session.io session. This particular thing can be used, and as for this input io.use where is this IO coming from? Require socket.io server. So this IO is the WebSocket related stuff. And once I got that, using that I can easily get it. So yeah, ultimately I do need to authenticate the user. This time I will not be combining both of them together. Rather, I will be just having my HTTP server and chat server separately. I mean WebSocket server separately. Then I'll be simply making a request. But let's see. Meanwhile, I will take the help of AI and all. I will learn the stuff, and then this is how I will. So ultimately, it's gonna be learning by working on the project, because I do need to just go through a lot. So it's gonna be great. Overall plan is ready, so I will be getting it done. WS, you have to authenticate on the both sides. That's fine. And just after this, but even before, not only that, yeah. I mean, passport is okay. I will be using passport cookies and all. That will be fine. But session stores. Session is automatically created. I get the user and all. Not only that, I have to take care of one more thing, and that is Google Auth and Google Auth and Facebook Auth and too much GitHub. Why not? I mean, I should try it, right? I mean, only when I just work on with these things are gonna be clearer. And as for these things, I will keep working on them. So this is the overall plan for now. Oh, okay, it got stuck. Interesting. The whole page got stuck. The application Google Chrome has closed. Okay. Okay, it hasn't closed yet. Control Shift Escape. It's okay, I'll be coming back to this later. I have to watch this and get it done. Just today it needs to be done anyhow. And then next time onwards I can just simply go ahead. Let's skip this one. And this is how I will be going through the things. Just let me take a break for a while. It's almost 12. After that I'll be back and then see what happens.